I'm going to go ahead and get started, and perhaps we'll have some more people join in. I want to welcome everybody that's here on this Zoom call today. My name is Jen Dool, and I'm one of the librarians at the main library of Richmond Public Library. And I want to welcome you all to our program today, The History of Black Hair. This is, I believe, to my knowledge, the first time we've done a program like this at our library. So I'm pretty thrilled to be helping to bring this to you all today. The first thing I want to do is introduce you to our two speakers. Gwen Green is employed with Caroline County Schools. She works at the high school level as the in-school suspension coordinator, which sounds very interesting. Her experience with hair is that, part of it is that she implemented a hair program at the elementary school where those students were able to come to the high school and have their hair done by the high school students, which to me sounds so innovative and smart. Gwen is also a step team coach, which is fun, and part of the Impact Club, and is a substitute instructor in the Cosmetology Department. So we're excited to have Gwen here. And along with Gwen is Tia Courtney, who also works at Caroline High School as a cosmetology teacher. She's been in an instructional role for about 10 years, but a hairstylist for over 30 years, as well as a makeup artist, lashtician. Did I say that correctly?
You said it exactly right.
Okay, good. And owner of several businesses. She attended QC Academy for Makeup Artistry and is currently attending Liberty University for a master's degree in family and marriage counseling. So both of you have quite a wide experience, not only in hair, cosmetology, but just life in general. So that's amazing. They're going to be talking to you again about sort of the history of Black hair, what sets Black hair apart from other ethnicities. And they're also going to do some demos, which I can't wait to see as well. Just a couple housekeeping things. We are in a meeting format of this Zoom call, which means anybody can speak or be videoed at any time. We are recording it, so if you don't want to be on the recording, just turn off your video, turn off your microphone. But if you don't mind and want to interact, we would encourage you guys to do that. If you don't mind keeping your microphone muted while our speakers are presenting, that would be great just to keep the focus on them. But if you have a question, you can use the little reactions icon at the bottom of the Zoom meeting to raise your hand, and we will get to your question as soon as there's a good point to do so. So without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Gwen and Tia.
Thank you, Jen, for that introduction. When Jen reached out and asked me, I immediately jumped on it. And then I, of course, pulled Tia in because she is just amazing. I'm not going to go back over what Jen said, but I did implement the program at the elementary school because it was a win-win situation. Some of the students were coming, and just didn't have their hair done. And, we as ladies and young ladies, we don't feel good if our hair, isn't done. So it gave the students at the high school the opportunity to work on the elementary kids' hair free of charge. We didn't charge anything. So it let Tia's cosmetology students be able to work on different types of hair. And then it also gave the elementary school kids the feeling of, oh, now I'm beautiful. And they used to just love, to come over. I just love kids, and, I'll do anything that I possibly can do. I stepped in to help, be a substitute when Tia was out. And I just, I could never replace her. And you guys just sit back, enjoy, ask questions, because she's going to give you a lot of great information. And thank you again. So Tia, I'm turning it over to you.
All right, good afternoon, you all. I'm so glad to be a part of this wonderful movement. I'm excited to share some things. I'm going to jump right into it because I want to very much be respectful to your time. So I'm going to try to share my screen, and good luck with me on doing this. I have what do we call a presentation, and hopefully it will work and not give me any problems. All right. So far, so great. So what I titled this "Loving Our Black Hair" because so often we have been we go through these changes with our hair, and this is not showing anything, is it? Oh my goodness, that's not good. Let's try this again. Are you guys seeing anything at all?
Well, we see some dots and we
That's
can
it?
just see the thing that says black hair, but it's kind of blurry, so we're not really seeing the whole screen.
Okay, let me try again. Let me try again. Let me try again. Copy. Let's try this copy here. I also have a link. That's not doing anything.
Okay, now we have a big bubble, a big,
That's not what I want. I don't want you guys to see a big bubble.
okay, I didn't know if you touched.
That's no good. Okay. All right. So maybe I have to go a different route. Let's share this here. Are you guys seeing
Okay,
anything?
there you go. Yeah,
You're seeing something?
yeah, loving black hair.
Awesome.
Yes,
We are
there it is.
cooking. Okay, so so often in our culture, we've even been taught that our hair isn't pretty, it isn't good enough. So we want to kind of try to use this program to kind of encourage and give some other options or alternatives and help you all to be able to take care of your hair better. Okay, so throughout history, hair has always played an important role in our identity and connection to our roots, literally. Our appearance and how we present ourselves is directly connected to how we feel about ourselves. Okay. You look good, you feel good. We've heard that before. When I look good, I feel good. Think about it when you get your hair done and you stand in the mirror and you go, oh, you are doing it, lady. So we feel differently when we look good. Our lifelong struggles with our hair and how we feel about it has taken us through some extremes. Our styles and trends originated, of course, in Africa. And though we have adapted many different ways to accomplish these styles, their meanings are still very significant. Here I have African hair beauty, the hair culture that has always been a main source of beauty. But what many don't know is that the styles we wear today originated from our ancestors in Africa and how important these traditions and styles are. Now let me see if we can get to our next slide. And we are definitely there. There we go. And the slide says hair was and still is important to our culture. Styles in Africa represented different things. For example, social and marital status, religion, age, and even it was used as a form of communication. Hair in itself is an entire culture. Okay. For African Americans, it's a symbolism, it's a source of pride. Okay. It will communicate such things as rituals of tribal rituals, as well as war. Sometimes a man can have a hairstyle a certain way and it would say to another person that I'm ready to have war with you. Okay. And these were worn not just by females. And even now, a lot of the things that we developed later on, such as relaxers, they also began with men. They weren't necessarily placed in a female's hair at first. They used it with them. Okay. Is everybody with me so far? And if you can see, I hope you guys can see my styles here. Right here, we have a young lady who, believe it or not, those are really small braids. Someone took the time and put minute little braids. And then at the bottom here, this is a tribe, a particular tribe, and their hair was an expression as well. Slavery hair, I have this title, good versus bad hair. Once Africans were brought here, it became something else that slave owners could take away to dominate and strip them from their sense of self. Okay, it's important that we understand and get an idea of what happened in the past. Okay, even their texture of hair was compared to the texture of wool. It had other negative ideas and negative things that were created in our minds. And believe it or not, we hear something over and over again, we start to take on that in ourselves. The changes slavery had on Black hair was extreme, and effects have lasted a lifetime. Slaves began to imitate the European cultures based on their slave masters' ideas. Their creative and intricate designs were pulled out and unbraided and often shaved, which began dehumanization of the African culture. Basically, what I'm saying is they would come over here with these elaborate, beautiful braided styles, and they were pulled out. They were taken out unbraided. We don't want that. This is not what we want our hair to look like. This is not what we want our slaves hair to look like. Black hair was seen as bad, while the more European textures were considered, and still sometimes now, are seen as good. This is good hair. This is bad hair. Even now, Black hair needs more moisture, and it is easier to damage than other types of hair. So there is a lot of care that we have to do and take so that we can keep our hair up. It's commonly referred to as nappy or knotted, and that began in the slavery days. That later post-slavery, the idea of that hot comb. Anybody ever seen a hot comb before? Okay, so it's basically a piece of metal that has teeth in it. And what they would do with this hot comb is they would put it on the stove. Now we have an actual stove that we put them in, but then it was put on an actual stove, which means you couldn't really regulate the heat. And I visualize someone taking a hot metal comb and just combing it through your hair. Poor little girls with these burned scalps and burned hair, and oftentimes those combs would have the hair wrapped around the comb. Well, the gentleman who created this, his name was Francois Marcel Gretouille. And he invented this in order to help young ladies with coarser, more coiled hair. They have straighter textures, which we consider now as more manageable. He also created what we call a Marcel iron, which is very similar. This is the modern day Marcel iron. This is just a simple curling iron with a cord. Well, in those days, it was a piece of metal. It didn't have a cord. And again, we stuck this on the stove and it got however hot it wanted to get. He also created the Marcel iron, which used lard. Anybody seen cooking oil and lards? They would take this oil, they would place it in the hair, and then they would pull this comb through the hair, which would cause it to be a little straighter. And it would also cause it to stay that way for a few days if you use the right oils. Moving forward, we went to the 1900s. We've all heard of probably Madam C.J. Walker. This young lady was the first African American. Actually, she was the first female self-made billionaire. Madam C.J. Walker is popular and known mostly for her hair products for specifically Black hair. Well, that kind of was controversial because Madam C.J. Walker, there's actually a Netflix series now that you can see that talks about her. She was the first self-made billionaire. However, she did not necessarily create those products. There was another young lady by the name of Anne Turbo Malone, who actually created it, brought it in C.J. Walker and other women to give them ways of making money. So what happened was Madam C.J. Walker, she got, big, she started selling a lot. Then she started maybe recreating some of those. So adding ingredients and kind of perfecting the products. Moving on to the next slide here. We saw that one already. The revolution of Black hair in the 50s and 60s with the Black Power movement is when the afros became more popular. People of color began to embrace their natural locks, and by locks, I mean curls, and gain back a sense of self. So what basically was looked upon as a rebellion in the beginning, oh, these people are just rebelling and that's why they have these big hair. What was actually happening was they were trying to go back and show the oppressed desire to show the oppressor they could no longer hold them down, nor make them hate what was naturally theirs. In today's world, this natural movement has resurfaced, celebrating the natural tresses we are born with, meaning no chemicals, and anything that alters the texture or at least minimally alters the texture, which means some people still may have an afro, but they may put in let's say a blonde hair color. Because that's a chemical, it's not technically natural, but it's still not as altered as it could be. Okay, so we also have Black Lives Matter movement is about Blacks reestablishing once again, kind of similar to when the 50s and 60s, the importance as humans that they never have totally felt since being uprooted from their origins. It's not a movement to demean others, but to uplift themselves in a celebration of me and who I am, which hair in many ways has represented freedom. Hair was once noted as a $1 billion industry within the hair industry. So we have all of this money in the hair industry, but then the Black segment is billions of dollars as well. However, if you can't, however, Blacks actually spend $1.2 trillion in hair care products, which may include weaves, artificial hair. It may include your hair greases and all of the things that we put in our hair, okay? There are so many different creative options for those who just want to reinvent themselves each and every day. The statement is, if you can't achieve it, then why not weave it? So this is why weaves are so very important, because there are a lot of people who still don't necessarily know what to do for their hairs. And if that's the case, guess what? We have another option. Put some weave in it, okay? And a lot of people are still enjoying those weaves because it allows them versatility, basically. I wish this would do this on its own. It would be so nice. The natural hair movement. Beverly Johnson, if you can look at the picture that I have here on Vogue, she was the first African-American model to appear in Vogue magazine in 1974. And after this time, Black women began to see themselves again. They began to no longer want to emulate or imitate another culture. They are saying, okay, you know what? We can do this too. Let's do our own thing with this. Today, we have a reappreciation of our own culture and coils with our natural hair movement. Naturally, again, basically just meaning that we did the minimal to alter our curl pattern. We are showing off beauty in a very bold and different way. You guys are still seeing this, correct?
Yes.
Anybody got any questions so far? Go into the next. Let's see what's happening here. That's not it. Bear with me, you guys. I'm trying.
Tia, I think if you hit that present button.
I did hit it.
If you hit the present button, I think it'll go through for
Will
you.
it go back to the beginning?
Yeah.
That's what I was afraid of, it going back to the beginning. All right, so here we go. Here's the next one. Caring for Black hair. Many people ask, what can I do for my hair? Well, the answer is really trial and error. There is no one thing that I can say, if you ladies use this or you guys use this, then this is going to work for everybody. It doesn't work that way. It's trial and error. You try something, you may get some advice from somebody else and they want to, and you go buy a product, put it in your hair and see if it works. Our hair is weaker at the bend. All hair, when we talk about coils and curls, more coarser hair is generally going to be a little tighter curled. Think about it when you wet your hair or you come out of shampoo in your hair. What do you see? You normally see the coils of the hair, where at each bend of that curl is where it's the most weak. So you have to be very careful, especially when the hair is wet, that you don't damage it. So the tighter curls, this will produce even more curl, which means it may have more weakness in more areas, which means where a person's hair could be curled like this, or a person's hair can be curled really, really tightly wound, okay? What may work for one type may not work for another. It must be kept clean and protected from heat and even the sun. Believe it or not, the sun can even damage your hair. I'm pretty sure some of you, depending on what you use in your hair, have probably even seen, because it's been so hot, maybe even a slight tint of lighting, the hair lightening. It will dry out, so hair color is normally not recommended for African-American hair, even though it is very, very popular and in great demand. This just means that it needs constant care and there is no one style that fits all. Hair should be looked at like a plant that needs water, it needs love, and it needs attention. We are constantly searching daily for the hairstyle, the miracle hairstyle that I can put in my hair and never have to do it again. It's never going to happen. It's just not possible. Black hair needs the needs are very different from other types of hair. It can appear dry and coarse, which simply means where other textures may not need added moisture, Black hair generally does, depending on the type of texture the Black hair has. The best products are discovered by just trying something. I have a few things out here that I laid as well that I wanted to go through, and I'll do that towards the end. Then lastly, I have
Miss Courtney,
here.
We have a question in
Question?
the chat from
Yay. What's that
Beth.
question?
She says, how do people figure out what type of hair they have? She noticed in the slide, the person said their child's hair is a 4A through C. So what does that mean?
Yes, I'm trying to pull that slide up right now so I can explain that a little bit better depth. So I have, is this the one? Is this the one? This is not the one. For some reason, it's
I
not
think it
showing
was
up.
14. Okay.
For 14 to 15, let's do 15 and see if that comes up that way. Because it goes from 14 to 16 for some odd reason. And it shouldn't. Let me try this again. Well, I had a chart on here. I don't see it. I don't know why it's not here.
Beth said it was in 14, but you want to
Yeah.
go back.
The chart, the one that you have right now, it's just in that first sentence that she said, my child has a 4A
Right.
through C.
I have
was
a
just wondering
chart.
about
There's supposed to be a chart on here that you should be able to see. And the chart, basically, how we go about this is, let me explain it this way because I did save mine. So in the 90s, Andre Walker created the hair type system. It ranges from 1A to 4C. Now, 1A would be straight, very fine hair. Generally, this comes across as a soft, shiny, hard to hold curl. We ever heard something say the hair looks limp, that just is super straight and it generally holds no type of curl. You will see this in black hair normally when you're using hair weaves. Oriental hair, for example, has that kind of straight textured hair. It's very shiny, it's very dark, but when you go to curl it, you would almost never hold a curl. Whereas 1B is a straight, more of a medium. It has some body, which means volume, and it's a little bit more full. There also is one, it's 1C. This is straight, however, it's more of a coarse texture, which means that when we talk about fine, medium, and coarse, we're talking about the actual size of one strand of hair. Where one strand of hair is very small and fine, then you'll have the larger the size of the hair, the more coarse the hair is going to be. And so this is generally a bone straight type of look. However, it will hold curl most of the time. So then you have something called 2A, which is a wavy, kind of a loose wave kind of texture. And this can accomplish many different types of style. It has a loose S pattern. The hair generally sticks close to the head though. Whereas a 2B will be wavy. It is a defined wave, which means it's very sharply wavy. It's a bit resistant to styling, so you might have to put a little more heat on it to get it from the normal wave to a straighter wave. Then you have what is called a 2C, which is wavy. It's wide waves. The hair is wider. It's resistant to styling also, and it may have an appearance often as a frizzy look. So you have to be very careful when you go out into humidity. You have a 3A. If you want, I can also send this to you. So if you want to send me your email address, I'll give my email address at the end so you can send it and I will send you a chart. And the chart basically will give you each and every one of these that I'm talking about. So a 3A is more curly. A 3A is thick, it's full, it has a lot of body. A 3B is going to be curly, but the curls are tighter round. Okay, they look a little bit more like if you've ever wet your hair and you saw it kind of have defined curls, nice defined curls. Whereas a 3C will be curly, but it'll be more corkscrewish. It'll give the appearance of a corkscrew. Then we slide into our 4s. When we get into our 4s, we're talking about a more kinky or coarser type of texture hair, which is kinky coily. 4A is a kinky coily. It's tightly coiled. It's very defined. It's generally O-shaped pattern. So it's going to be just like this. Okay. Whereas you have your 4B, which is kinky coily also, it's tighter coiled. It's a little less defined and it has a kinkier pattern. And then lastly, we have a 4C, which is a kinky coily, tightly coiled. We consider it kinky. It's unless you see it up close, it's also a complete O pattern, but it's really, really tight and you'll see it very tight. Now, generally it's easy to style. It does hold curl, it does hold heat, and it's not as hard to put it in place. Mine is more or less, if you look at my hair, I don't know if you can probably see it. Mine is more between the 2C to the 3C range, where I have a real strong curl pattern. Now, I do sometimes use chemical in order to help my hair to hold style, in order to help my hair hang, because I have a very light hanging hair. So when it curls, when I wet it, and it goes this way instead of this way. And the idea is to have it heavier so the curls are actually hanging. So what I use stuff like keratin treatments and things like that for is also to keep from that frizz. If I walk outside right now and I have my hair down, it's immediately going to frizz. It's not a lot I can do about it. Okay. Did that help you, young lady that had the question about the types?
Yes, it did. I was just, you know, in that weird question, you know, you go into a hair shop and, you know, they always have like, you know, different color hair, different texture hair, and they always have different numbers to it. And so I just didn't know what that meant.
Right. Now, when you're talking about numbers as far as colors, that can change. That's a little different. When you're talking about, for example, hair weaves will, a lot of times when you look on the package, you have to be careful because you'll get confused with it's talking about the texture as opposed to talking about the actual hair color that it is. Like 1B, for example, 1B means that it is a natural dark black.
Okay.
Is that confusing?
Not coming from the hair world, it could be very confusing. So then we always rely on people like you guys who know what you're talking about.
And we never have a problem helping you out. So lastly, I wanted to kind of, before I get into my demonstration, I wanted to kind of, and I'm probably talking really fast because of time restraints, but I wanted to basically say to everyone who's concerned or considering getting their hair done, for everyone that's had some trouble with hair, black hair is beautiful. I don't want anyone to take away anything other than our black hair is beautiful. It's different, it's bold, we have to be creative sometimes, but with the proper hair types and hair care, you will be fine. I have some things here that I'm going to show. Come on, Malayla. I have my daughter today. She's going to be my test dummy, just so I can show you a couple of quick, simple things. The first thing I'm going to start with is I'm going to do a basic ponytail. Now, if for anyone who may have children, grandchildren, who have some African ethnicity that may not know what to do with hair, a ponytail sounds, oh, Miss Courtney, that's so simple. It can be. But the problem is a lot of times we don't know how to set it up. So the first thing I want to say is this is what we call, this can be called a wig brush, a vent brush. I call it my favorite brush because I find that this brush allows me to untangle African hair, any type of hair, honestly. It helps me untangle it without pulling out a lot of hair. So if you see that right there, we also use this in hair weaves. Now, the first key is to start at the very bottom. You want to always start at the bottom, no matter what your ethnicity is, because as you climb up to the top, what you're doing is you're untangling hair. Most of the time when the hair has knots, it's because it's just tangled. And if you start down here, what you're doing is you're allowing those tangles to untangle as you get to the top. And then when you get to the top, then you can run that through, okay? Many people make that mistake because they start here and they break through the hair. You're gonna pull out hair. A lot of times what a tangle really is, we shed hair, about 80 to 100 hairs a day. So what happens is when it falls, let's say I have a little knot down here. So it falls, but it doesn't have a way to free itself from that hair. So what it does is it collects, and that's what causes the tangles most of the time. Okay, if you properly do this, you should not be pulling out a whole brush full of hair, never. If I start here, I'm gonna have a lot of hair. So this is what I call my vent brush, and it's easy for me to use. So I'm gonna do a quick little high ponytail. Now, one big mistake people make is no matter what the texture is, we need moisture, okay? So I may take a little bit of a mister water bottle just around the area that I want to place into this ponytail. And then I may use a real brush. I also have what is called a wide tooth comb. This can also work if you don't have a vent brush. This works to untangle your hair. So because I want to moisture this, put a little water for moisture. And I want to make sure that I understand there is no one I've ever met that can do anything without some type of product. What I have here, this is called an edge control. And it's basically a pomade. This is my particular brand here. And what it does, it smells really nice as well. Edge control is something we want to use because you see all of these little pieces of hair. What this comes from is she probably wears ponytails a lot, and it pulls, and it may snap, and it may break. So you have these little things here that you want to lay down. And so now that I've dampened it a bit, which will also help lay it down, then I'm going to put the edge control around it. Now this is a dark edge control. You do not have to get a black one, but I use a black one because, again, with my black hair, oftentimes we thin a lot right around the outer perimeter of the hair. What this black will do is, because it has color, it will also aid in hiding a few of those empty places, okay? And this is what we call a rat tail comb or a tail comb. It has a little tail. And I will use this because it has fine teeth and it allows me to pull these pieces back a little bit more easier. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
And then once I get it where I want it to go, I may lay a little bit more of the edge control to fill in some spaces. Now, one of the things that we make a mistake at, we like our hair to be nice and tightly in this ponytail. You want to try to use things that help your hair not break off as much.
Okay,
And
Miss Courtney, while you're doing that, a young lady said, do you sell your own edge control?
I do. I'm going to give you my email address because what I want is I'm going to draw a name and I'm going to send you one for free. How about that?
All righty. And Miss Courtney, also while you're doing that, is any edge control good or what? Because I do notice that before I have used edge control and it kind of like flaked up white, so why does it do that? And then what is the best?
That's one of those trial and error things. Okay. So that's one of the reasons why I created this particular one, because I found that too. Normally what's happening if it's flaking, it's probably got too much water content and the water is what's causing it to flake. Miss Gwen might put it in her hair, it doesn't flake. Jen might put it in her hair, it does. It doesn't really matter. You just have to try to see. This one particularly does not flake, but it doesn't have a lot of water content. Okay. And so I'm just going to show you this right here. Something like this is called a scrunchie. Why do I like scrunchies? Because scrunchies will not pull your hair. Because I have a tendency to put this really, really tight, and I'm going to wound it around a million times because I want it to stay nice and smooth all day. So with that having been said, I will use a scrunchie. If you don't like how puffy that can be, you can use, I have one in my hair right here. I'm going to pull this right. If you see mine, these kind of bands, you get these from Walmart. They're like $2 for like 10. Okay. These are spectacular because it never pulls my hair out. And because I'm lazier on my hair than I am on anyone else's, I will lay down and go to sleep and take naps and it doesn't pull my hair. Whereas some other rubber bands type things will pull your hair at night. And speaking of at night, I want to also address this wonderful little thing. This is an amazing invention. It's called a satin cap. This is one for braids and hair weave, so it's long, but you also have one of these. I live and die by a satin cap. You must wear this at night. African-American hair, again, is dry. Whenever you're laying around in linen and sheets and breads, you are going to dry your hair out. The satin cap keeps that moisture in, okay? So now, quick, simple ponytail. She can lay this back if she wants. She can puff it up. She can wet it and make it curly. She has versatility. Simple, just a little wet, just a little edge control, and she can pull it as tight as she likes. Quick and simple. And some of you are saying, Ms. Courtney, that is so simple, but you'd be surprised how many people struggle with doing our hair in simple styles like this. Another thing that I noticed, for example, when she likes to flat iron her hair, we try not to do that on a regular. I suggest that you only flat iron your hair every couple of weeks, if you can. And I'm going to show you how to do a quick wrap in case you do it. And basically with the wrap, this again, you could use a scarf. And I'm just going to start at the top of the hair. And I'm going to swing this round and round and round. You can use some clips that will hold the hair in place until you get it all the way wrapped. I was going to do a flat iron demonstration, but I decided against it. So now you see that all of her hair is nice and wrapped around. I may take a little teeny bit of edge control just for those sticking up ends. And then I will tie it with a scarf. She'll sleep on that overnight. When she gets up, she'll start the same way that we began. And from the root, just pull it down. Quick, simple wrap. One more thing I'd like to show is how to do a cornrow. So in the spirit of summertime, it's hot. We don't really want to do a lot to our hair because again, we fuzz, we fluff, we do all of these wonderful things. So maybe a nice quick little cornrow would be just what I need. And with the cornrow, I'm going to use my rat tail comb, boom, and I'm going to part out a piece. I'm just going to do what we call straight backs. Straight backs is basically the cornrow is going straight back. And how I teach my students is the biggest thing with doing a cornrow is finger position. Okay, so I'm going to take my finger just like this, close to the scalp, and I'm going to pick out a little bit of hair. I'm going to split it into 3 sections. I'm going to go outer, from the outside to the inside, from the outside to the inside. So wherever you start, whether it be at the bottom or top, you're going to take it and you're going to spin it under. Keeping my fingers nice and tight. Can you guys see that?
Yes.
All right, so under, then I pick up another piece. Then I go under again. So now that I'm in the middle, I'm going to pull a piece of hair and put it with that piece in the middle. Then I'm going to under that again. I'm going to pick up a piece of hair and add it to my middle. You're always adding to the middle. Add to the middle. And I'm going to be honest with you, you're not going to learn this if you don't know how to do this in one sitting. It just takes practice. As I tell my students all the time, practice makes perfect. You're going to have to practice, practice, practice. And so basically, and I'm going to speed up a little bit, picking up from the outside, put it in the middle. Picking up from the outside, put it in the middle. So I'm going to, from the right side, I'm going to pick up hair, put it in the middle and spin. From the left side, I'm going to pick up a piece of hair, put it to the middle. And I'm basically just keeping my fingers nice and close. Don't get over anxious to be done because then it will have big pieces in it.
And Miss Courtney, while you're doing that, I noticed some people when they get their hair cornrow, can't you cornrow it too tight? Because I do see people sometimes with like the little white bumps, you know, that come. And I mean, how would you suggest that?
Okay,
we
I'm
don't
so
do
glad
that?
you said that. Okay, so first of all, this is the outer perimeter of the head is from all the way around the outside. Your hair is already more sensitive there. It generally is a little finer, so it's easier to pull out. If you've gotten your hair braided and you notice, because it gets red first, if you notice it's too red here, that is too tight. Because what's going to happen is that red is going to turn into those white bumps you're talking about, and you can do things like lose your hair there, and it may never grow back. So you want to be very careful. Your hair does not, we like it to be nice and neat, so this is why we do it so extra tight. But truth be told, it doesn't need to be that tight. And one of the things that I, again, suggest, get you a type of edge control and place the edge control in the area that you're going to work. That will keep it nice and neat as you pull. Be very careful here, be very careful here. And I'm going to braid this all the way to the bottom. The same exact way, under. And if you want, you can put a rubber band there, or you can just keep on going straight down. And it'll look just like this. And I'll keep going and I'll put several of them all the way down until I complete the entire head. Then I'll go back and do my little fancy things by making her little side baby hairs look nice and cute. So now I want to address some of my products. If I can tilt you this way, just to give you a little bit of an idea, you're out and about, you're shopping, you're going to the store. Carrot oil is one of my favorite moisturizing oils. Now, does that mean it's the only one? It absolutely does not. There's tea tree oil for those who have dandruff that they can put in their scalp, and that'll help with the dandruff. It has a little tingle to it. Peppermint oil, there are all types of oils. But these are really good things. You want to always have oil in your hair. And where do I put oil, Miss Courtney? I put it right here. I start at the ends because the ends are the driest area of the hair. It almost never gets enough moisture. Okay, so I start at the ends and I'll work my way up. And if I'm wearing braids, I'll put it in the entire hair. If I'm wearing my hair down and I want it to be able to move in the wind a little bit, then I don't want to put a lot of oil near the root area because that's going to make it heavy and it won't move. Okay, so I have this. You can probably get this at some dollar stores. They have a certain form of carrot oil. Sometimes you can mix them. Let's say you like the way carrot oil does, but you like the tingly of the tea tree, do your tea tree.
Miss Courtney, real
Yes.
quick, can you
Am I
put
running out of time?
can you put the oil back up real quick, closer to the
can.
screen? Yeah, so they can see, yeah, because you know, you're moving fast. They might want to write it down. So it says
Okay.
carrot oil.
And I'm not a salesperson for any particular product, so I don't get any money for telling you what to use. I'm just trying to help. This is one of my very favorite oils. Now, this comes in all types. You don't have to get this particular brand, but this is called jojoba oil. It's spelled Jojoba. Jojoba oil is awesome for those of us that need moisture. You know, and even other ethnicities may find that their ends are really dry. This is also good for that. So I'm gonna leave that so you can see that there. I have something called It's a 10. Now this is a professional product. If you have a hairstylist or someone that you know, they can get this for you. This is a really good leave-in for moisture, 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 moisture. I always use this particular product. You don't, again, this is not, you know, the end all be all product, but always have something that can protect from humidity as well as something that can protect from heat. This is also, it's a 10, but this is blow dry oil. So if I'm gonna blow dry my hair, I wanna always never put heat on your hair in any way without some type of protection. I also have this for those with the curly types of hair. This is one of my favorite products. This helps to define the curl. You ever had your hair really pretty when it's wet and shampooed? It's got beautiful curls, but when it dries, it's a hot burning mess and it's nasty looking. This is what you need in your life. This has great ingredients in it. I have also, this you can get from Sally's Beauty. This is just a dry shampoo. If you're somebody that's used to, your hair's real dry, but you feel like you get oily really quick, you need to wash your hair more often. Instead of washing it all the time, get you a nice dry shampoo and put it through your scalp just like you would regular shampoo and let it be. This makes it smell great. It pulls out all the dirt. It pulls out all the oil. And this is an old school product, Miss Green. I'm sure you've seen this before in the past. This is
Yes.
Wild Root Cream Oil. People have not seen this in years. This is my grandfather lived and died by this stuff. And I've been using it in the last couple of months because I find, because I'm so hot all the time and my hair's always wet, that I find that this keeps the moisture in, and it also helps so that I don't feel to get it so, because sometimes when you have it curly, you go to bed at night, you get up and it's a mess and it's really matted. It keeps it from matting up and stuff. So this is for probably better for the 4As, maybe the 3Bs. So this is a good product. Then I also have something for those people that still need to get that shampoo in. This is a tea tree. I like everything tea tree in this particular brand. Okay, they have it for hair color. This one is for hair color because, you know, I'm not going to tell them myself, but let's just say sometimes Miss Courtney needs a peach color. And this is awesome to protect you from stripping your color, but keeping your hair clean. It's tingly, it feels nice. And they actually have like 3 or 4 different types of shampoos. Find one, use it. It's amazing. If you have any questions, I'm always available. I appreciate your time. If there's anything else I can help you with, I'm going to leave my email address with Miss Jen, and you can contact me anytime. Okay? Thank you all.
Thank you, Miss Courtney. I will definitely be sending out your email in the follow-up email that I sent to everybody that participated today. But that was a lot of really great information. Carrot oil, who knew? I did not know that existed.
I love it.
All right. Miss Gwen, did you have anything you wanted to add in there?
No, I just wanted to know if anybody else had, you know, any questions. I was just trying to read the questions off the chats and then, you know, whatever popped in my mind because I didn't know if anybody really wanted to ask. But I just want to thank you for, you know, inviting us, you know, to do this. It was just amazing.
Yeah.
It was, and thank you so much.
Thank you both for being here. You know, your expertise is, I'm sure, everybody was so thankful to get it today. And I'm sure it's just sort of the start of learning the basics is what it sounds like from what you presented and what we talked about earlier. So, you know, if others have questions, like I said, I'll send out contact information, or if you would like to see more programs like this at the library, let us know. We're always looking to get some insight into what people are interested in. And I'm also going to send out a book list, because one of the things I was talking about with our lovely speakers today was there have been a lot of books that have been released recently on this, on the topic of Black hair, the history, the maintenance, the care, all of that. And so that was part of what inspired me to reach out to you all and do this program today. So I will be sharing all that information with everybody that attended. And before we go, are there any last minute questions? I don't want to, cut anybody off, but.
While they're working on questions, Jen, let me just say, my hat goes off to you, because I'm amazed that you took the interest and you listened and came up with something like this. It just makes me respect you so much.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Excellent presentation.
I'm sorry.
Yes. No, go ahead.
I just had a question from a non-colored kind of person. Like like Jen said, we have so many incredible books on this. And a lot of times, people of non-color are so afraid to read these books in story time and share them, because, we feel like, oh, I am not of this color, I should not be reading, to others. And so do you have any insight of, as a librarian trying to read to a group of kids, to give everybody that feel and to have diversity in our story times, without kind of coming across, I don't even know how to say it. So do you have any insight for me? Because I love the book. I love my nappy hair, but, and I mean, it's an incredible story, but I am also kind of afraid to read it in story time, because I don't want to come across the, I'm this, white girl reading about this nappy hair that I know nothing about, but the story in itself is incredible to give little girls insight, to this history, and that they should be proud of their hair.
Could I speak to that? If I'm not a librarian, but what I would say to that, Beth, is you just never know who you're going to come in contact with throughout your life. And my daughter, for example, has recently been working in a school, and they do the children's hair. And she came home with a question about a young boy's hair one day, and I was just like, y'all do hair there? I mean, you just never know. And by you being the expert, people are going to want to come to you. And you never know who your children may have children with, and who you may adopt along the way. So I just feel like it's great, and it makes me feel great that other people want to know about it, as well as I want to know about other types of hair. Like that was one of the things that got me into hair, is to help women beautify themselves and have a higher self-esteem, because so many people, and especially our culture, have not been given the things that we need for our self-esteem. So little things like this go a really long way. And that one little young lady that comes to you and says, Miss Beth, my hair is messed up, and you can actually do something for it, you'll be surprised the bond you'll make with her.
Thank you. Like that's what I needed to hear.
Yes. And I appreciate that you even want to know.
Yeah. And then for me, like Tia said, the appreciation is because you want to know. You know what I'm saying? That, you don't want to sweep it up under the rug or anything like that. Right. And I feel that when you are open and honest with children and everything, then you just open up a whole new world, because we all can learn something, So I would say, just do it, Beth. I mean, I know what type of person you are, and I know that you have a great heart and everything. And like I say, for you to be a Caucasian woman and some African-American child, or I would say a child of color, comes and talks to you, about that. And if you open up to them, you just never know. And you may be bombarded with a whole bunch of stuff, because that's what we do. We just open up. I'm still on the thing with Jen now, when she was saying you guys, is making these bags. My mind is flowing. When we get off, I'm asking, okay, now how can we help them, get African-American products in these bags that they want to give out? So I just think it's a learning process. And with all of us working together, I think that it would be a beautiful thing.
And you're breaking barriers. That's what it's about now. We're at a time now that is so important to reach further. It's not about me and mine, it's about all of us. So
Right. And come out of our comfort zones. We
Yeah.
got to be, uncomfortable, because if we stay comfortable, then we'll stay complicit. So I just say, go for it. And girl, if you need me, I'm right there. I'm gonna be pulling Miss Courtney and everything and all of that.
Great, thank you. That's really what I wanted to hear.
Yeah, those are really great words to kind of live by. I think one thing that educators and librarians really have in common is that we constantly want to learn, and we are constantly opening ourselves up to new things, and we do feel that that's the best way to break down those barriers. So I think that's a really good point. So, well, thank you both, Gwen and Tia, for being here today. That was a fabulous presentation. And again, I will share contact information with those of you that are in the audience today, because I know that you probably are going to go away with lots of ideas and maybe some questions after that too. So thank you for your time, and thank you everybody for joining us today.
And thank you for having us. And don't forget to send Miss Courtney the stuff so she can pick a winner and send you some of her products.
I will definitely do that.
Thank you all.
All right. Have a nice day, everybody. Bye.
Okay, you guys do the same. And thank you. Okay.